So we're talking tonight about rejection. So rejection is real. In fact, medical scans that they do now on imaging of your body when you've been rejected shows that rejection affects the body with the imaging that they can see with MRI imaging as much as physical pain. And so the pain of rejection is real, and I don't want to minimize it. It is hard. But one of the things that we have to learn if we're going to become strong women, and if we're going to learn to actually move beyond people-pleasing, because one of the things that keeps us stuck in people-pleasing ways is this fear of rejection. One of the things that keeps you stuck in your fear of trying new things, of trying to go to college or trying to get a different job or trying to put yourself out there is this fear of rejection. Rejection is talked about in the Bible a lot. In Genesis 29, I believe, Leah, remember Jacob was wanting to marry Rachel, and then his father did a bait and switch, and he put Leah in the tent after Jacob had too much to drink, at the wedding feast, and he slept with Leah, not realizing that it wasn't really Rachel, and then woke up in the morning and went, that's not the one I wanted to marry. And it was terrible. It was a terrible thing that her father did to her, that he would treat her like nobody would want to marry you anyway, so we have to marry you off in a sneaky way. That's a terrible rejection from your parent. And so Leah knows what that felt like. And then she knew she was not loved. She knew that her husband wanted another woman. How many of you feel that pain? That pain that even if you're not a arranged marriage or in that kind of relationship, you know, like Leah did, that your husband doesn't love you, that he doesn't value you. And that's how Leah felt. And we see her pain through Genesis. And she keeps thinking that if she just does it right, like if I give my husband a son, Rachel couldn't get pregnant. So, okay, now I can do something that she can't do, and I can give my husband a son. And if I give my husband a son, then he will love me. And if I give him a second son, then he will love me. And a third son. And I don't know that he ever loved her. Maybe at the very end it says that he had a tender heart toward her, but he didn't love her for a long, long, long time. And finally, Leah had to come to terms with something that we all have to face. And that is my worth and my value dependent on whether or not you love me? So if you don't love me, if you reject me, whether you are my parent or whether you are my college, entrance or the job that I applied for, or if you're my children who are adults, or if you're my husband, if you reject me, is that a statement about my value and my worth? And that's what Leah really had to wrestle with in the scriptures. And Jesus himself, in Isaiah 53, it says that he was despised and rejected. Jesus, the most beautiful, worthwhile, worthy, perfect person that was ever put in a human body, was rejected. He was despised. And he felt it. It says he was acquainted with sorrow. His heart broke because the people he wanted to love him did not love him back. And so I want you to understand a couple things. Rejection is real. It happens. You are not going to get through life without some rejection. It is painful. It hurts your heart. It hurts your body. It's personal because people reject us. They reject us as people. I don't want you for my girlfriend. I don't want you for my boyfriend. I don't want you for my mother. I don't want you for my child. I don't want you for a friend. It's very personal and it's very painful, but it also can be professional. We can be rejected from a promotion. We can be rejected because we've applied for a job and we didn't get the job. And so rejection is all throughout life. But if you make it a statement about your personal value and worth, you are going to make the reality of rejection a whole lot more painful than it has to be. You see, Jacob did reject Leah. She wasn't loved as much as he loved Rachel. She wasn't loved at all. But that didn't make Leah unlovable or not valuable as a person, as a woman, as a wife. Just because Jacob didn't love her didn't mean she wasn't lovable, any more than if a mother throws her baby in a trash after giving birth to it doesn't make that baby unlovable because the mother rejected it. The mother rejected it for her own reasons, whether she was overwhelmed, whether she was mentally ill, whether she was ill-equipped, whether she was frightened, for whatever reason, even if she didn't like children. but it has nothing to say about the baby's value or worth intrinsically. It might not be worth much to this mother, but it doesn't mean it's worth nothing at all. And this is the piece that we have to really get in our brain, because when we start to say to ourselves, I'm not worth anything if you don't love me. I'm only valuable if you want me. And if you don't want me, well, then why would I live? That gets us into a very painful place that we're not dealing with rejection very well, because we've made it an entire statement about our value and our worth. The reality of life is that sometimes we're going to get rejected. It just is how it is. And it doesn't mean that we're not lovable, beautiful, or wanted. It might mean that we're not lovable, beautiful, or wanted by that person. Love isn't something that you can earn. It's not something that you can get by just making somebody happy all the time. Leah gave her husband what he wanted, sons, and it still didn't make him love her. And so when you're a people pleaser and you give and you give and you bend over backwards trying to do everything that people want you to be, there's absolutely no way you can be all things to all people. If someone doesn't like you or what you have to give, whether it's personal or professional, when you stop being you and you try to be what they want, that is really destructive to you. And it's also destructive to your relationship, because you're not meant to be what they want. You're meant to be what God made you to be.
For a free report on 5 red flags you may be in a destructive marriage, go to leslievernick.com/red flags or click on the link in the comments.